glad to be with us on our news desk yet again. The news headlines. Government 40% of the total targeted farmer beneficiary under the e-voucher system will be reverted back to the Conventional Farmer Input Support Program (FRSP). Former Republican President Frederick Chiloba's son, Frederick Jr., has been granted a 3,500 kwacha cash bail pending appeal against his 8 months jail sentence for stealing a mobile phone. The Media Institute of Southern Africa MISA Zambia chapter has noted with concern the growing trend by governments to abuse media freedom. The news in detail, my name is Machamanda. Government will revert approximately 40% of the total targeted beneficiaries under the e-voucher system back to the Conventional Farmer Input Support Program (FRSP). Announcing the development at a media briefing, Agriculture Minister Michael Katambo said the decision was arrived at after considering the continued challenges that have continued hampering the implementation of the e-voucher system in most districts around the country. Mr. Katambo says some of the continuous challenges noted include network limitations in some districts, farmers losing their cards or PIN numbers, and complications in deposit capture, among others. He adds that other challenges noted are competence limitations in the usage of ICTs by farmers, agro dealers and members of staff, and delays in card loading by service providers. He says reverting to the conventional FRSP entail the ministry procuring fertilizer and assorted seed varieties for onwards distribution to farmers in selected districts. Mr. Katambo says the affected districts will be announced to the public in due course. He adds that for the remaining districts under the e-voucher system, the careless redeeming application and biometric systems will be used to help ease the problems of card and PIN losses.
And some service providers were just overwhelmed with the huge number of farmers they had to handle without adjusting their staffing levels. In view of these, members of the press, in order for the ministry to address some of the reported challenges, some districts, approximately 40% of the total targeted beneficiaries that were under the e-voucher, will be reverted back to the conventional system. This means that the ministry will procure fertilizer and assorted seed varieties for issuing to farmers in these selected districts. So the affected districts will gradually be reintroduced on the e-voucher system once the above challenges are resolved. For the remaining districts under the e-voucher system, the cardless redeeming application and biometric systems will be used to help ease the problems and card and PIN losses. It is also government objective to ensure that farmers graduate from the Farmer Input Support Program. With these measures, the Ministry of Agriculture is sure of avoiding putting the country's household and national food security at risk.
Former Republican President Frederick Chiloba's son, Frederick Jr., has been granted a 3,500 kwacha cash bail pending appeal to the High Court against his 8 months conviction for theft of a mobile phone. Mr. Chiloba, 32, is required to provide 2 working sureties employed by reputable institutions who have been bound to 10,000 kwacha each in their own recognizance as part of the bail conditions. In a ruling when the matter came up this morning, Magistrate Ntandose Chavala also ordered that Mr. Chiloba to surrender his passport. Magistrate Chavala granted Mr. Chiloba bail pending appeal after she found merit in the bail application which the state had objected. In his application to be admitted to bail, Mr. Chiloba argued that he might serve a substantial period of his sentence if he remained in custody while his appeal was being heard. He invited the magistrate to take judicial notice that appeals take some time to be heard, but the state objected to the bail application, contending that there was no justification in the application for the bail on the basis that appeals take long. The former Second Republican president's son was convicted and sentenced to 8 months imprisonment with hard labor for stealing a Samsung A7 Edge from Brenda Chisha, valued at 8,500 kwacha. Judgment in the case in which Lusaka businesswoman Shabu Benos is accused of murdering Autoforce proprietor Reeves Malambo has been adjourned to 28 June 2018. Judgment in the matter was supposed to be delivered on the 1st of June 2018. When the matter came up for judgment in the Lusaka High Court, Judge Gertrude Chawatama apologized for not delivering a ruling in the matter as scheduled, saying she needed more time. Judge Chawatama said she had not concluded some submissions from the state which were filed away to her judgment. She further asked the accused through her lawyer Humphrey Mwemba for more time due to the longevity of the 80-page judgment. Judge Chawatama has since reserved judgment to 28th June 2018. Benos, 38, is alleged to have stabbed Mr. Malambo, 48, with a dagger after a fight ensued at her home in Ibex Hill. In her final submissions, Benos, through her lawyer Humphrey Mwemba, argued that she did not deny stabbing Mr. Malambo, but did so out of self-defense. She argued that on the date in question, Mr. Malambo viciously attacked and violently beat her, and that it was in the process of the attack that she stabbed him. She argued that the stab was inevitable in the circumstance. The state, on the other hand, argued that Benos's account of events was an afterthought and therefore should be convicted of murder.
Judgment in the case where Lusaka businesswoman Shawo Benos is accused of murder of Autoforce proprietor Reeves Malambo has been adjourned to 28th June 2018 as the court did not have sufficient time to read its 80-page ruling. Benos, 38, is alleged to have stabbed her lover, Mr. Malambo, 48, with a dagger after a fight at her home in Ibex Hill. Previously, during trial in the same matter being handled by High Court judge in charge, Gertrude Chawatama, Benos asked the court to find her guilty of manslaughter and not murder, as she killed out of provocation. In her final submissions, Benos, through her lawyer Humphrey Mwemba, argued that she did not deny stabbing Mr. Malambo, but did so out of self-defense. Benos argued that on the date in question, Mr. Malambo viciously attacked and violently beat her, and it was in the process of the attack that she stabbed him. She argued that the stab was inevitable in the circumstance. The state, on the other hand, argued that Benos' account of events was an afterthought and therefore should be convicted of murder. It was the state's argument that it would depend on the testimony of Benos' mate, Tamara Nswana, who testified that she heard Benos shouting at Mr. Malambo saying, "Iwe Reeves, wachilamo kunimenya ine, manje nizakupaya," meaning, "It is too much of you, Reeves, beating me, so now I will kill you." They argued that there is no other explanation for Benos' utterances other than the fact that they were pure manifestations of her intention to cause Mr. Malambo's death. Further, in killing Mr. Malambo in the manner Benos allegedly did, had the requisite of malice aforethought. But when the matter came up for judgment in the Lusaka High Court today, Judge Chawatama apologized for not providing ruling on the matter as she needed more time. This was because she had not included some submissions from the state which were filed away to her judgment. She also asked Benos through her lawyer Humphrey Mwemba for more time due to the longevity of the 80-page judgment. She has since reserved judgment to 28th June 2018. For QTV News, I'm Alfred Mwansa.
The United Kingdom has expressed its willingness to engage in bilateral negotiations with Zambia for the return of the Broken Hill man's cow. This is contained in a joint resolution between the two governments adopted at the 21st session of the Intergovernmental Committee for promoting the return of the cultural property to its countries of origin or its restitution of illicit appropriation, following a case brought against the UK before the committee at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, France on Thursday. Presenting the case on behalf of the Zambian delegation to compel the UK to return the Broken Hill man's cow, National Heritage and Conservation Commission Executive Director Collins Chipote stated that the relic is Zambia's indigenous and earliest hominine finds. Mr. Chipote explained that the skull was discovered in Kabwe on 17th June 1921 by Tom Zwigler of the Broken Hill Development Company during a mining operation after blasting of a copage, and it was found in association with a number of items including upper jaw, a sacrum, a tibia and 2 femur fragments. He said the skull is of great sentimental value to Zambians, and its absence in the country had deprived nationals of the knowledge about technology and the human development in the distant past. Mr. Chipote further stressed that The Scouts' presence in the UK had deprived Zambians of research in human origins, leading to inadequate public interest, and that was needed to pursue the fascination study of human origins.
The said archaeological materials is the property of the people of Zambia, taken away from the territory at the time of colonial rule. At that time, the owners of the territory, that is the Zambian people, had no say on matters of governance. The committee may wish to know that many nations lost millions of objects to colonialism and imperialist war, and nothing whatsoever can whittle down the argument that the number of collections in big museums were generally made during these times. The media, and in particular the Nature Journal, published the discovery of the skull and reported of its shipment to the United Kingdom for investigation. They say
And Tourism and Arts Permanent Secretary Reverend Dr. Howard Skwela thanked the 15 out of 22 member states that spoke and supported Zambia. This is contained in a statement issued to QTV News by First Secretary for Press and Tourism at the Zambian Embassy in France, Yandem Sonda. The Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia chapter, has noted with concern the growing trends by the authorities to abuse media freedoms in the country. Speaking during the official launch of the 2017 So This is Democracy report in Lusaka, MISA Zambia Deputy Chairperson Hyde Haguta said MISA is at pains to see how media freedoms in Zambia are abused by those in authority. Mr. Haguta has since called upon media personnel in the country to unite and demand for what is right. He has further condemned the intentions by ZICTA to regulate WhatsApp, saying such things should not be tolerated as they are shrinking online space. Mr. Haguta says MISA is not against the cyber laws that are coming, but will not support such laws if they are meant to reduce media freedoms.
And we have a police force that will, with impunity, just break and storm into the studio, hound out a guest, and order the host of the program to cancel the program. The police is a creation of law, and they cannot be seen to have carte blanche powers to do literally anything they feel with impunity. The police are there to protect you and me, to ensure law and order. And there's no illegality for a citizen walking into the studio to express his or her different political views, opinions on a radio station. That police should begin to walk into the studio, disrupt the program, hound out a guest. That is wrong. It's not democracy. We have seen, you and I as journalists, being ordered, sometimes summoned to police. We've seen these things happening. Going to answer for hosting a certain guest in the studio. Some of you have lost jobs. Some of us have lost jobs because of trying to be independent in thinking. We are advancing and protecting people's rights, the freedom of expression, freedom of the media, giving people access to information, the platform to get information they need to make decisions in governing this country.
And giving an overview of the report, Mr. Zambia National Director Austin Kayanda said last year was full of issues ranging from media censorship, assault on journalists, attacks on media institutions, among other happenings.
Levels of intolerance to dissenting views also seem high among the political party supporters. However, political parties and security wings were paying heed to calls to address violence among their party supporters and for police to curb the harassment. This presents an opportunity in 2018 for Mr. Zambia and other media advocates to intensify calls to uphold freedom of expression and media freedom. The deepening economic woes of the state-owned media, Times of Zambia, Daily Mail, and the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation cast a doubt shadow for 2018. It is critical for the media to build their capacity to stay afloat and for the state to allow them to operate as commercial entities.
Presence of God Ministries Overseer Apostle Christopher Kunda has urged President Edgar Lungu to extend an olive branch to opposition United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema in a bid to heal divisions in the country. Apostle Kunda says President Lungu and Mr. Hichilema should emulate Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta and his opponent Raila Odinga, who have resolved to unite Kenya by way of reconciling. He has implored the two leaders to meet as soon as possible in a bid to find a solution to the political divisions in the country arising from the 2016 disputed elections. He says President Lungu should quickly initiate dialogue with the UPND leader following the political violence that is taking place in the Chilanga parliamentary by-election. Apostle Kunda has told QTV News that Zambia can only address the current political crisis through dialogue between the two largest political party leaders in the country.
But I want to say to every country, men and women, if we can follow the Kenyan way, it has impressed the world. And actually with the dialogue that we want to see, it's where President Lungu can be able to see, to call the opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema, where they can have the talk, two of them faced. It will help actually even our dialogue where maybe to move well. If those two leaders, they can have a chat, two of them, maybe 2 hours or 5 hours, to talk about issue, what they are expecting, because leaders, they have what they are expecting from that dialogue, and where maybe they can put their agendas from the meeting, from the dialogue, what to come out, where they can expect our outcome can be like this and this. But I hate all the leaders, politicians first, they need to sit down and talk. It's what Hulu did and Odinga, they had a dialogue, two of them talking, and they shake hands. Today, there is peace in Kenya. And actually, there's even power sharing that maybe they will announce very soon. And we believe that even our dialogue, it's where the opposition and the government, they can be able to work together.
All People's Congress President Nelson Musoni says President Edgar Lungu should account for his mistake for personally signing a 500 million United States dollar sovereign guarantee issued to Stag African Investment Limited meant for the importation of electricity. Mr. Musoni says to date, State House has failed to convince the people of Zambia why the head of state took such a decision. He says President Lungu failed the people of Zambia because of certain decisions that he has been making which are not in the interest of the majority Zambians. Mr. Musoni has also called on the Mr. Musoni has also called on the president to consider holding a press conference to answer burning questions the people have for him.
As I have said on many occasions, that running government is serious business. Not everyone can run government. If you are going to sign unilaterally, you're going to sign a sovereign guarantee for $500 million without any cabinet minutes, and purport to assume the role of Minister of Finance, I think this is scandalous. This is unprecedented in Africa. At no time did the president issue a gazette notice or any instrument to show his intention that intended to guarantee and commit the people of this country to a facility of $500 million, $500 million. I think this is a joke. I think this is more than a joke. I think it is time that the president must account for those.
Savenda General Insurance Limited has paid out a total of $279,585 United States dollars in claims to a farmer from Mukushi district in Central Province whose wheat farm was gutted by fire, including agricultural machinery. Speaking during the handover of a check in Lusaka, Savenda General Insurance Limited Chief Executive Officer Irene Muyenga said this is a huge milestone for the insurance company because it is paying such a huge amount despite only being in operation for 1 year. Ms. Muyenga says the fire happened in October last year, but that the payment was delayed because their insurance company is abroad and therefore sending a payment of that nature was somehow difficult. She says the payment at some point was recorded after the reinsurance company sent the money to the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC.
We had a lot of, they pay, you find it hits your bank, and then the money again is recalled, and then you have to follow up the procedures, America, UK, and all that, before you finally get. So that brought in a lot of delays on our part. But finally, we have been able to pay. And this is, for us, since we've just been in operation for only a year, we started in operations in 2016, in September 2016, effectively August, yes, but we're doing the policies. So effectively business was September 2016. So for us to be hit by such a huge claim and be able to pay it is a milestone.
And Waka Waka Ranch owner Newton Young said he is pleased that the insurance company has paid his claim after he insured his farm together with the equipment.
And as was said, we insured both the crop, the center pivots and the combine, which were damaged. We made a claim. Savenda was there very quickly, dealt with it. It took a little bit of time. We were always kept updated. Payments did come through, and Savenda has settled in full. So as a farmer and as a client, I'm very appreciative that Savenda has come through with their promises, and I can only commend them on their business, and we will continue, if they will have us, to insure with them.
Governance activist Lonely Tatila has observed the need to increase budgetary allocation to youth empowerment and small and medium enterprises SMEs programs in the 2019 national budget. Mr. Tatila says this will help the creation of the much needed jobs, more especially for the youths and women. He says the government alone cannot create all the required jobs for the youth, hence the need to support already established institutions so that they too can extend a hand in creating job opportunities for the local people. Mr. Tatila is specifically calling on the government through the Ministry of Finance to consider the submissions that will come from the SMEs as they consult in the formulation of the 2019 national budget.
I was expecting something big from the Ministry of Finance, as they are also consulting members of the public regarding the 2019 national budget. And we strongly feel that this national budget should speak to the people. Many of the times that we hear this national budget, they really actually speak to the people. I strongly feel that where the young people are concerned, we are the majority in society, we are the majority voters, we are the majority population in this country. And therefore, when issues of the budget are involved, it's important to note that young people are involved at the early stage. But one of the issues that I'm also having is that we have a situation where Minister of Finance has not really given out the right information to the stakeholders who are the members of the public in terms of how they're supposed to come in and also push in their agendas and push in their views, their opinions regarding the budget. Because the information for you to get it and for you to submit is online. So this really affects a lot of young people in various communities. It's not everyone who has got access to internet.
Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary in charge of training, Professor Elwin Chomba, has praised Lafarge Zambia for not recording any serious accidents at its plants in Ndola and Chilanga. Professor Chomba has noted that health and safety in the workplace and on the road is an issue of great concern to the public, in that lack of it may result in poor production due to injuries and fatalities, while a lack of road safety may cause injuries and cost lives. Speaking during the commemoration of the annual Lafarge Health and Safety Month in Chilanga, Professor Chomba says government is elated to see Lafarge coming up with initiatives of promoting health and safety among its employees and their families. She says the Lafarge Health and Safety Month has a number of activities that include helping workers improve in personal performances, as well as awareness campaigns within the cement manufacturing plant and the surrounding community. Professor Chomba says the hosting of the Fitness Day will help in promoting fitness, stating that it is important for Zambians to observe safety and keep healthy. Professor Chomba says health and safety still remains in the ministry's top agenda item.
We also want to encourage clean working environment, safe clothing, headgear and footwear, adequate ventilation, prevention of overcrowding, first aid, to mention but a few. These are some of the many basic requirements that every employer in Zambia is supposed to provide to its employees. Health and safety remains the ministry's top agenda item, and I would like to call upon other stakeholders to emulate this great initiative Lafarge has taken to institutionalize health and safety and make it a condition of service. By doing so, we can rest be assured of achieving a zero harm culture as a country. Ladies and gentlemen, the celebrations we have today are highly purposeful because I see company values being shared by the employees and their spouses and partners.
Speaking at the same event, Lafarge Zambia Chief Executive Officer Vincent Bukert said the company's Health and Safety Month is a unique opportunity to celebrate their success and a time to communicate why health and safety is #1 priority. He says Lafarge has developed a number of activities to promote health and safety and its cement manufacturing plants and in surrounding communities.
As James mentioned, we have conducted a number of activities under the team. I improve health and safety every day in my workplace, starting with internal activities, which include the launch of health and safety quiz, including minimum basic behavior in our pep talk, the Biggest Loser competition launch, which will see some people that have lost weight in a bid to ensure wellness walk away with awards. Visiting of 4 schools in Chilanga and conduct road user sensitization on road safety, and also donation of branded Lafarge waste being in the spirit of promoting hygiene, as well as sensitize the community on the importance of preserving environment.
The annual Lafarge Health and Safety Month has a number of activities that include helping workers improve in personal performance, as well as awareness campaigns within the cement manufacturing plant and the surrounding community. The Civil Aviation Authority CAA says Zambia's international aviation standard has now risen to over 77%. CAA Director General Gabriel Essa says this safety record follows the various strides the authority has been undertaking following the lifting of the European Union aviation ban on Zambian registered planes. Mr. Lessa says the authority is positive that the next time auditors come, they will find that the CAA's effective implementation of the international aviation standards has improved tremendously. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Lessa states that to this effect, the Civil Aviation Authority is almost completing the certification of the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, KKIA. Mr. Lessa says the airport has been going through the process of certification for almost a year now, in line with government's plan to transform it into a regional hub.
We are positive that when the auditors will come next, they will find that our effective implementation of the international standards must have improved tremendously. We do believe we must be above 77 by now, but that is for other people to come and verify. But in terms of what we're doing, you may know that we are currently almost completing the certification of Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. You may recall that under the 7th National Development Plan, government has intentions of transforming Kenneth Kaunda into a regional hub. And one of the requirements is an international airport such as Kenneth Kaunda should actually be certified.
The Likumbi Liamize Cultural Association has advised Zambians against falling prey to foreign cultures and norms. Association National Chairperson Isaac Kangwea tells QTV News that there is need to reserve the country's rich cultural heritage. Mr. Kangwea says it is important that the young generation is taught about Zambia's rich culture to prevent them from adopting foreign cultures. And Mr. Kanguya says preparations for this year's Likumbi Lyamize traditional ceremony, which will be held in August in Zambezi district, are progressing smoothly.
So in terms of preparations, tomorrow we have our dinner dance here in Lusaka at the government complex, starting at 19 hours, and people that are within Lusaka, Kabwe, Mazabuka, Kafiwe, and other nearby areas can, free to come and celebrate with us and then see the tip of an iceberg of what usually happens in Zambezi district. The festivities in Zambezi apparently take about 5 to 6 days, with a start of rising of a makishi on a Wednesday, and then the makishi go to perform in the plains, and then cross the river. They start performing on the beach, and then later on Friday perform on the other plains near the palace, and then move into the palace. Then Saturday now the whole activities start. So for tomorrow's fundraising dinner dance, we have part of the makishi, just a tip of an iceberg that will come also and give some good performances, including girl initiates and also boy initiates. So
Visiting United Bank for Africa, UBA East and Southern Africa Chief Executive Officer Emeke Iwerieba has observed that the Zambian economy is strong enough to facilitate the growth of the banking sector. Mr. Iwerieba says Zambia, being a centralized country, remains the UBA's strategic countries for expansion. He has told a media briefing in Lusaka that the bank's strategic initiative is to continue strengthening its presence in Zambia. Mr. Iwerieba states that this is besides contributing the country's economic development. He says the UBA group has taken a strategic decision to strengthen its network in East and Southern Africa. Mr. Iwerieba states that to this effect, UBA Zambia will be launching a chat banking platform called Leo. He says Leo will be an artificial intelligence that will be accessible via Facebook Messenger, where customers can access banking services at their convenience.
Why do we want to be a strong player in the Zambian financial market? I make reference to some of the things I said before. Zambia is a critical economy. Given the centrality of its location, it sits at the center of about 9 countries. And in some of those countries, we are present, we are strong, and we are doing business. So what that does is that it facilitates trade, it facilitates industry and business activities. For instance, between Zambia and DRC, between Zambia and Tanzania, between Zambia and Mozambique, between Zambia and other countries in the region.
That item concludes our news, but before we go away completely, here is a recap of stories in the headlines. Government, 40% of the total targeted farmer beneficiaries under the e-voucher system will be reverted back to the Conventional Farmer Input Support Program, FISP. Former Republican President Frederick Chiloba's son, Frederick Jr., has been granted a 3,500 kwacha cash bail pending appeal against his 8-month jail sentence for stealing a mobile phone. The Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia chapter, has noted with concern the growing trend by government to abuse media freedoms. That's it all for the news. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.